The Accidental Entrepreneur is brought to you with the help of our sponsor, AWeber, the world's leading small business email marketing and automation service provider. Since 1998, AWeber has helped more than 1 million small businesses and entrepreneurs through its suite of web-based email marketing, automation tools, and education. AWeber, the best option when it comes to marketing your business. The podcast is also brought to you by the Alternative Board. Since 1989, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has been one of the leading peer advisory and business coaching organizations for independent business owners and CEOs across the world. By facilitating peer advisory boards, private one-on-one coaching, and strategic planning services, TAB helps business owners improve their businesses in ways that change their lives. And be sure to connect with our affiliate sponsor, GSM Growth Agency. They're boosting e-commerce businesses to 6 and 7 figures in revenue and cover everything from ads and social media influencers to making your website better. GSM Growth Agency focuses on taking businesses from startup success to bigger success, going above and beyond to make sure growth sticks around. They're all about cool ideas, lasting partnerships, and making your mark in the e-commerce world. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services. Okay, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have a very interesting guest today. I'm very excited to talk to Carolyn. We're going to talk about sweepstakes and winning and prizes and all kinds of really cool stuff. She has a business. She's up in Canada. So this is across the border podcast, which is very exciting. And so if you're listening on your favorite directory, please leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching us on YouTube, like us, subscribe, support the podcast so we can keep connecting with people like Carolyn and bringing really cool stuff to the show. So let's get on with the show today.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode. All right, Carolyn. I'm excited you were able to come on the show. And I think I had an opening. So we talked recently. And now you're coming on the show quick, which is kind of cool. So I got your book and I started looking through it. My wife saw it on the coffee table, right? And she's like, "What the heck is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, we're going to learn how to win like prizes and trips." She's, "I want to go on a trip." So I said, "Well, Carolyn's won like 50 of them or something like that, right? Isn't that right?"
24, sadly. 50 would be good, but I want to win number 25 this year. That's actually a goal.
Is it any trip, or you have one specific trip you're working on?
I would like to win to Vegas because I want to take my boyfriend on his bucket list item of going to the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
But I'll take a trip anywhere, honestly.
Well, we're going to Italy in about 10 days or 2 weeks, so I would have wished I'd won that trip because that is not. We're doing it right carefully, so it's not really expensive, but yeah, it's ridiculous. So.
That's one of the things that winning does is it won't completely remove your travel budget, but it will enhance it because things like your cost of getting to and from the airport aren't included. If you want to buy souvenirs or take or tip people or have meals that potentially aren't provided for depending on the contest.
Right.
So you're going to still spend some money. I always say it's a cheap trip, not a free trip.
Yeah. Well, usually, right, the airfare and the hotel usually the most expensive part.
And then sometimes, depending on the prize, something could be included, like park passes if you're going to Disney or Universal, or concert tickets, or race tickets if you win, like to say Daytona or something, or sporting events like The big one just that recently passed was everyone guns for the Super Bowl. There was a lot of Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big time to do promotions. Well, if you win something in Vegas, I think you'll get usually those places have show tickets they give to their guests, the winners and so forth. And especially if you become a gambler. If you gamble money, they want to give you everything.
Well, the annual National Sweepstakes convention is actually in Las Vegas this August, so I'm already booked for that.
Nice. All right, so why don't we go back and tell me about your background and I don't know, growing up in Canada and what you did and how the heck you got into this. You don't just wake up one day and says, I'm going to be a sweepstakes expert.
Well, a little bit you do. When I was a kid, I always loved entering, and I would be, this is going to date me, I'd be standing in the kitchen with the rotary dial phone calling into the local radio station to win tickets. And I remember winning, and I was 14, and my mom had to go down to the station to pick up the tickets.
Right, because you weren't old enough.
I wasn't old enough.
Right.
And it was fun. I always knew you could win. I kind of had that intuitive knowing that you could win, and I would win small things.
Okay.
And then I won a trip to Barbados with my mom. I entered her in the giveaway, and I said, "Oh, if I win, I'll take you. If you win, you'll take me." She's like, "Yeah." And then she won. She thought it was a scam, but we went, and it was only airfare and hotel. We had to pay for our own food, but it was amazing.
Yeah. No, you've heard those stories though. People win this thing. They go to whatever Barbados. They get to the place. They go over the hill to where and there's nothing there but a tent on the beach. So people are like nervous about stuff.
You know what? I have not heard those stories because maybe I hang around all the sweepers, and usually
never.
Well, a lot of them are smart enough to know getting the minute they ask for a credit card or the minute they ask for something. We're like,
don't do it.
I've actually had those calls in the past, and I would say, you know who I am, right? I teach people how to win, and I've won this much stuff. And they go, really? And I go, why don't you go visit my website? And I can teach you how to win legitimately. And they're like, really? Companies spend billions of dollars running giveaways. Now that's the entire marketing budget because you have creation, you have advertising, you have web,
you have item,
fulfillment, and then of course the prizes on top of that. So if you see them giving away $100,000 in prizes, that's easily $1 million budget.
Right.
Yeah, so to promote it and things like that. The big one happening right now is Oreo is sending somebody to space.
How are they doing that? Through like SpaceX or?
Yeah. And I think it's a different rocket company. I'd have to go read it.
Like Richard Branson's company or something like that?
Yeah, one of them. I have to go read the rules because reading the rules is my number one tip.
Going on a giant Oreo to space, and it's like a spaceship. Right. Look like an Oreo. That'd be great.
They're doing that in the advertising. It does. Their cookies look like So they
that's interesting.
But here they know that people, because of the taxes, won't accept the prize. You have to read the rules. It's a $225,000 prize. No, sorry, it's $125,000.
Now, isn't it in Canada you don't pay tax, right?
We don't, but here's the budget difference. So in Oreo, in the United States, the prize is worth $125,000, but no one's going to take that. The taxes would kill them.
Because you can't pay the taxes, right?
They add $80,000 to cover the tax.
They gross it up. Okay.
They gross it up, so it's worth $225,000, or you can take the cash option if you don't want to go to space.
Right. So you know the story about Oprah when she gave cars away and was tax bills from the IRS.
That's why contests like that are smart, and they go, look, and no one will ever accept it if we don't include the amount to cover the tax, because they want to give somebody a trip to space. They really want to give it away.
Great PR for them, and the person's not going to be able to do it. So Oreo? So here's the question of the day. We're not going to know. Do Oreos taste different in space? Guess what I've never asked.
I don't know. I'll never know. But here's the budget difference, because a lot of companies mirror their promotions in Canada and the United States. So I'm like, this is really weird. I haven't seen one for Canada yet. So we had one come out a few days later, like the scheduling was a little different.
Okay.
We can win a trip worth $30,000 to go in the gravity airplane, where you go up and down, you're in the simulator for 30 seconds and then you back down. And that whole thing is worth $30,000.
30,000.
And there's no cash option. That's the difference.
So that's what you're winning in Canada. You don't get to go to space. You get to go into a gravity chamber.
Yeah, that's it. That's the difference.
Stinks.
Because
it costs them less in Canada, though.
But the marketing budgets think about it, we have less people in Canada, the whole country, than you do in the state of California.
Right.
And I learned this when I realized in Canada, we had a trip with one of the beer companies, and we got to fly to Calgary to go on a beer tour.
Okay.
And we went beer hopping, and then you go up, and we had ski passes and all kinds of fun things. And we filled 2 buses from Calgary to Banff.
Okay.
And then in the United States, I've always tried to get in the Bud Light Cruise, and I thought they gave away several hundred tickets. And then it occurred to me when I was talking to some other sweepers who had gone, I realized they didn't just give away a few cruises. They chartered the whole boat.
Yeah, the whole boat. Right.
And I was like, that is the budget difference.
Yeah.
An entire cruise ship versus 2 buses.
Right. And they just want to inundate you with their advertising the whole trip.
Well, why not? And it's
bigger market. I understand.
Yeah, they haven't done it in a while. The pandemic did change a lot of giveaways. Meet and greets are virtually gone, which is really sad because meeting all those celebrities was always fun.
Didn't even come back now that COVID's kind of passed.
Maybe some, but not like, it's not the way it used to be.
Right.
And so companies are getting more creative, and I haven't seen a cruise, even though people are cruising, I haven't seen a big cruise like that.
Yeah, we went on a cruise in around New Year's last year, and was it last year? Yeah, it's 2024. So last 22, right around 22 to 23, right?
Time has been changed. That's the other thing.
So, and it was like everywhere you went, there were washing stations, and they had to be really careful, obviously, because if they had another outbreak, it really affects them. But yeah, there were people on there that won the cruise for whatever reason and whatever company they did it for, and there were people that are on there and stuff. But I always find it fascinating because, growing up, we grew up about the same time, right? I had rotary phones and the whole thing, but we used to get like comic books or trade magazines, and in the back there'd be these contests, and there'd be all this fine print that you had to do to jump through hoops. You can never, only a certain age could, and you had to mail a postcard with this on it, and your thumbprint. You had to send $5 and then, or
first of all, you should never spend money to enter. That's a scam. So here's what companies do. Every marketing activity always wants to lead to sales.
Right.
That's marketing like 101. Because sales is the only income generating arm of any company. So that's what all the marketing activities are hoping to lead to.
Of course.
So there's a lot of purchase giveaways. So for example, there's chocolate bar companies right now where I live. And if you purchase a bar and take a picture of your receipt and send it in, you could win a prize.
Okay.
Now, in the rules, which again, number 1 tip to always read. Actually, if you're marketing, if you're on the other side, having your rules locked down as a marketer is also your number 1 tip if you're going to run a giveaway.
Okay.
Right? It's the same tip for both sides of the table, because rules are a legally binding contract between the sponsor and the entrant that can be held up in a court of law. So if anybody saw the McMillions documentary, you saw that the AG used the rules in court.
Yeah.
So and they're always written in the sponsor's favor. So in the rules, there'll be a no purchase entry option. Now, they don't have to make it easy. You might have to write a 50-word essay and send in a self-addressed stamped envelope. And
well, can't
they
be
have to have
ridiculous, right?
Right.
I mean,
they won't be totally ridiculous, but it could cost. So I always say, look at the cost of the purchase and look at the cost of the no purchase entry. Chocolate bars are under $1 at the dollar store, and a stamp where I live costs me $1 plus tax. It's a no-brainer. I will go and buy a chocolate bar, enjoy the chocolate, and enter the giveaway less than the no purchase entry option.
Picture of it, and you text it to them or you email it or whatever.
Right. But there's some beer ones out there, and a case of beer up here right now is like over $50.
Right.
So I will spend $1 to send in a no purchase entry. And then some of them are even just emailed in. It'll say, send an email here with the 50-word essay, da-da-da-da-da. And you don't even spend any money.
They have to offer it on a no purchase necessary basis, right?
Yeah. And most giveaways are free. But again,
Okay.
some of them do that because they want to sell more chocolate bars or soda or chips or whatever they're
Right.
selling.
I mean, that's the whole point of promotions. If they didn't want to sell more, they wouldn't do the promotions. Would they? Just giving people a cruise? No.
Right.
They
And
want
it's a form of advertising, and it's just a fun way. It's just a really fun way. And sometimes they're not even obvious. I've been sweeping since before my daughter was born. She's very well trained in this house. When she sees the word win.
Is that the professional term, sweeping?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're a sweeper, you're in sweepstakes.
It's sweepstakes,
Okay.
sweeper, sweepstaker.
Sweepstaker.
And then in Canada, actually, the lingo. Now, this is very fascinating. Sweepstakes are illegal in Canada.
They're illegal?
They're illegal because at one point people were using scams from the Irish sweepstakes and scamming people. So they made sweepstakes illegal.
Okay.
However, some companies still wanted to use giveaways as a promotional tool. So some lawyer figured out that a lottery, you pay a consideration for a chance at a prize, and a sweepstakes and a contest have one removed. So sweepstakes, you remove the consideration, so you just have a chance for a prize.
Okay.
And a contest, you remove the chance, so it's usually judged. Think about people pay, a $10 entry fee to submit a pie into the county fair, and then all the pies are judged, so there's no chance.
That's a contest, right?
And so it's judged. And then, so by definition, it's a contest, but there's skill involved.
Okay.
That's why Canadians answer a skill testing question, which then by legal definition makes the giveaway a contest. So clever.
Yeah.
Love the lawyer that figured this out.
Yeah.
That's why we answer skill testing questions in Canada, because by legal definition, we enter contests. So we're contesters and we're contesting. Really and then in the UK, it's comping because they enter competitions.
Okay.
But guess what? It's the same hobby all over the world. You got to read the rules. We recommend you use an aggregate, which is a website that aggregates all the sweepstakes in one spot, making it fast for you to enter.
There's websites that do that, or there's an app that you get that does it for you?
No apps. None of the sites. It's usually run by small business. I don't know if they're accidental entrepreneurs, but there's people that run websites that aggregate all the giveaways. So, for example, Sweep Sheet is a newsletter that's been around for almost 35 years. And the beginning of March, they were loading in 300 new giveaways to put on their site that people could enter for free.
And you'd set up a profile and then you can click on them and they'll just enter you. Boom, 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 boom.
No, that's cheating. Those are auto entries. We don't do that. Okay. There'll be a list and then you pick. So say you want the trips. So you go to the trip section and you enter all the trip giveaways. You click on it. It'll open another window, the sponsor's actual giveaway promotional page.
So it's just a link to
It's a link.
So what's that one called?
Well, there's Sweep Sheet. There's lots of them. There's Sweepstakes Advantage. There's Sweepstakes Today. I win contests. Now, some are paid subscriptions, and some are free, and some are freemium, which is part is free and part is premium. And it's because it costs money to run a website.
No, I understand that. People are like, that's a scam. Well, they can do it for free.
Sometimes sweepers get a little bit frugal and stingy and not want to pay because they think, well, sweepstaking's free. Why should I pay for that? Right. But running a website,
you got to run Now, can you send me those links? I'll put them in the show notes. So
actually, there's a huge list. If you go to my resources section on my website, I have an entire list. I'll give you that link because then I tell people to go. There's all different types. There's some that are newsletter based. There's some that look like a forum. There's some that look like a blog. I tell people to go and poke around and see what style they like, because when they are having fun, that's when they win. The minute it feels like work, stop.
Yeah, no, I know. But, it's almost like it could be an addiction, like gambling. Like you could end up shutting your whole life down, entering contests every 20 minutes looking for I'm going to win.
Okay, you could.
Right? I worry about this stuff.
But the big winners are strategic, and all the big ones, they say they only enter an hour, maybe 2 a day, but usually in an hour. Like Tom, and the opportunity to win in the United States is so much bigger than in Canada. Tom Cavalli, who owns I Win Contests,
Okay.
is just past 90 trips, and he's been entering 7 years less than me.
Because there's more here?
Because there's more here, and he also lives in Florida. So, for example, he has more opportunities for cruises and for trips to Disney.
You got to get there for the,
Right. And a lot of them, there's a lot just Florida based. They're called regionals. So someone that lives in, say, rural Idaho isn't going to have as many opportunities as, say, someone that lives in California next to Disney or Universal there.
Yeah.
Or to go to Hollywood to premieres.
Yeah. So if you own a suite, get out of Idaho, move to, West Coast, East Coast. Now, let me ask you a question. If you enter in sweepstakes all over the world, right, in the United States. So if you not necessarily
read the
a cruise
rules.
that goes out of Miami. Oh, the rules may say U.S.
only. Again, so you're looking for eligibility.
Okay.
This is also works for the marketers. If you're running a giveaway, and I see this on Instagram all the time, please, every small business out there, if you choose to run giveaways, great. It's a fun tool if you do it right to get new eyes on your products or services.
About your product and your company, whatever.
But always have eligibility. Who can enter? So is it open to Canada, the United States, worldwide?
If you don't sell there, why have some Nova Scotia win your prize?
Right. Or if you want somebody to come into your store, you got a restaurant, a hair salon, whatever. Hey, you need even put there, this prize is to be picked up in store. If you can't pick it up, please don't enter. Even put that in the rules.
Right.
So how long is it? Does it end today? Does it end in a week? Some don't even have an end date. So, and social media, the algorithms will show things for weeks.
Right.
So you want to have an end date in there. And then you also want to have a frequency. Is it one of the ones on Instagram where you can tag all your friends? Or do you only want them to comment once and tell a little story about an experience with your store or product? Have that in there too. And it's simple rules. And that's it. If you're doing a simple Instagram giveaway where you're giving away, a dinner for two at your local restaurant, I just outlined all the rules. It's going to be that long. And that's it. It's
just
simple.
have to have them clear and available. Now, so let's go back a bit because we can just totally go down this rabbit hole.
I love this.
You were 14, 15 years old. You win a trip to Barbados. Your mom now believes it might be true and maybe just luck. How did you then, what happened next? Would you go to the University of Sweepstakes in Montreal?
No,
and
I went to the University for Business and Marketing, and I worked in the industry for years. I was corporate. I did every job in the marketing department you can think of. And then I got caught in the dot-com bubble.
Okay.
And I had three things happen at once. I read an article about a couple that entered sweepstakes as a hobby.
Okay.
I had a contract that ended because I managed to find a contract after the bubble burst.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant. So once the contract ended, they weren't going to hire me. I was like a little balloon.
Right. Okay. So now you're having a baby.
So I stayed home.
Yeah, but you also kind of liked contests, right? But this kind of reminded you ooh.
Yeah, so that's when I started entering daily. So I would enter occasionally, but that's when I started entering daily. And I had Lane, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a little while. But then when I wanted to go back to work, I was like, I didn't like the idea of putting her in daycare so little and things. So I started looking around, what can I do? And we had won a whole bunch of stuff in a very short period of time. And everyone kept saying, what's your secret?
Because you just kept entering.
Yeah. And I was only entering for an hour or two a day. I didn't spend my whole day entering. I had a little one.
Yeah.
And she would, so I would start entering. And then we won a trip when she was little. We went away on a trip and we just kept going. And then I decided to write a book. And I kept thinking about sweepstakes because everyone said, what's your secret? And I thought, I started doing some research and someone said, why would you give away your secrets? And I thought, well, that's a good point. I was going to a girlfriend's house to discuss, do I write the book? Do I not write the book? And I passed a church and people say, please, God, give me a sign. a sign on the church service announcement board. Now, we didn't carry cell phones. I did not have a picture. I kicked myself for not going back. It said, "You can't lose helping others win." And I
That's
went,
like sweepstakes comment from God.
it's a sweepstakes comment from God. And
That is
after
great.
my first book came out, I took one to that church and I said, "Hey, that sign changed my life. I wrote this book because of that sign." He said, "You have no idea how many times we have one couple that does the sign every week. They changed it every week. How many people come into the church and their lives were changed by whatever that couple had put on that board."
So did you meet this couple? They're like,
No, I didn't. I just talked to the minister of the church. He was so nice. And I gave them a copy of the book to
nice.
keep. But, and then of course that ripples out because everyone that reads my book now I get those stories.
Right. But
About
there's no
people
like
that took,
secret algorithm. You're not like something that you figured out that, nobody understands. If people are willing to follow your methods, they
right.
can increase their chances of winning too. I mean, that's
Oh,
right.
it's exactly. I love getting stories. Think about it. I just said companies spend billions running
Yeah.
sweepstakes. It's physically impossible to enter for everything. Also, I don't want to win everything.
Right.
And
Put it all.
and there's some things I'm not eligible to enter.
Nice.
So you just, and right now I'm super busy. I'm not even entering an hour a day.
Yeah, well, but you got to tell me though. I mean, you told me this before we're off the mic. That guy who's won like 50 trips, right? You're a little jealous. You got to catch up with him.
Oh, totally. I would love to win, but I'm not in this. He keeps telling me, "You got to move down here. You got to move down here." I go, "I know,
you guys
I know."
because you know each other through like the sweepstakes.
Well, because he read he read my second book, like,
Okay.
and we became friends. So he started entering in 2008, and we've been friends ever since. And that's the other thing. I have gone. This is the priceless part of the hobby that nobody talks about, or I didn't even realize it was a thing.
Right.
There's a whole community, and I have made friends for life from this hobby. Like when I was going through my divorce, I was like, my life was down here and I'd be like miserable. And I had so many sweepstakes friends say to me, "Come visit, just get out of that house. Just come for a visit, stay
Nice.
here."
People that you never met in person before?
Some
you met
of them,
them
yeah, some of them I only knew from Facebook.
Nice.
Some I knew from the convention, some I knew from different events. And I just planned a book tour because I had launched another book. I planned a book. It was this book. And I planned a tour around the US. And I went and I couch surfed the whole trip from sweeper to sweeper to sweeper. And then I taught their sweepstakes clubs. I did a sweepstakes secrets to winning tour.
Nice.
And I couch surfed the whole thing, and I literally hung out with sweepers for a whole month. It was the most cathartic thing.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people that are in this community. They just open their hearts, they open their doors. It's the best. Like, where would I find a community like that? And these are all people like you think, "Oh, they're greedy, they just want to win everything." No, they're the most generous, happy, fun, generous people, kind. It's the best community. And I never would have thought that I would meet people like that just by entering a sweepstakes.
Right. Like, of course. Like the last thing in your mind, right?
Right. And that's the best part of the hobby. I call it the priceless part.
Nice. All right. So the book is How to Win Cash, Cars, Trips, and More. Why don't we take a break? It is available on Amazon. We'll put a link in the show notes. Take a break and do some commercials, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about the other books that you're writing and the things you're publishing and motivational stuff, because I'm into that stuff as well. And so next chapter we'll talk in a minute.
Next chapter.
Here's a word from our sponsors. Looking to market and grow your business? Or perhaps you're just getting started and want to hit the ground running? AWeber is the best choice for online email marketing and automation of your business. From maintaining a subscriber list to drip campaigns and landing pages, AWeber gives you tools and integrations that make marketing easy and fun. As our partner and sponsor, we use all their tools to promote the podcast and market our law firm. AWeber, the best alternative for online marketing. For over 30 years, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has built a thriving community of forward-thinking CEOs and business owners who want to radically improve their companies. Through unique combinations of one-on-one business coaching, participation in monthly TAB board meetings with other non-competing owners, a suite of strategic tools and customized strategic planning workshops, TAB membership can deliver greater strength to your business and a better work-life balance for you and your family. All packaged in a streamlined and affordable service that the people at TAB invite you to try risk-free. Are you struggling with managing advertising due to a lack of time or expertise? Perhaps you're facing challenges in scaling ads for your store. Are you feeling lost when strategies have no success? GSM Growth Agency is your reliable partner in overcoming these business challenges. Feel the impact of collaborating with a team dedicated not only to short-term goals, but also to building long-term partnerships and achieving sustained success. Embark on an exciting journey to redefine the possibilities of e-commerce and create a legacy of unparalleled excellence. Take decisive action now. Follow their link in the show notes to receive a complimentary audit of your Shopify store conducted by a GSM expert. Propel your e-commerce game to new heights with GSM Growth Agency. Follow the link in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show. All right, we are back. During the break, I jumped on Sweep Sheet and I Win Contests. I Win Contests is a very nice site. He's really got a lot of, but those are all, you have to pay to join them, right?
Yeah. You want to hear something crazy?
Sure.
Tom won his logo. He entered like a small business design contest and he won, and they designed his logo for free.
That's so funny. Yeah. I've seen people do it where you go on one of those sites and you bid, you put in, listen, we'll pay, $50 to the winning thing, and you get submissions. But he literally entered a contest to have a logo designed, won it, and then they designed his logo.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
You're right.
I know they're doing a contest. They're making a logo for a guy who enters contests.
Yeah, it's I love the irony of it.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And Sweepstakes Advantage has been around a long time. That one's free, and then if you want to upgrade to go to Sweepstakes Plus, Sweepstakes Today is free. Sweepstakes Fanatics is free. I know, you see it, the theme here. You see the theme here. Sweepstakes Bible is free. There's so many of them. I'll give you the link to. Now that's the other thing that's interesting. When I started, there was no resource.
Yeah, you just had to find them on your own, right?
So one of the things I did, or even just finding the site, trying to find out what the sweepstakes sites are, there was no resource. So I made Contest Queen a hub of all things contesting, I call it. So you wanna learn. I have classes, books, blog articles for more than a decade to learn how to do different things. I have YouTube videos. I have TikToks. You could learn for free.
Let me ask you this, not to show my complete ignorance about this, but what could you learn? I mean, if you go on the site, it has instructions, right? You know that you should maybe enter once a day or whatever. What else do they need to learn?
There's all kinds of things. I got a question the other day of, hey, I've just got blocked on Instagram from entering. What do I do now? Or is, when, it's because the bots now see the tagging as you being a bot, even though you're not.
You're not real. Yeah.
You're not real. So things like, make sure you have a picture, make sure you fill out your bio, make sure you're, you have a circle of friends to tag. So every month at the beginning of the month, I do a tagging Tuesday where people can post, because some people are just new to the hobby. Well, how do I get friends to tag on Instagram? So I help them with that. There's so many nuances. Tom did a video recently, and he's won a ton of trips that we talked about. He said 30% of those trips, he entered a skill-based contest where he was required to make a video or create a recipe or do something in order to win. So your odds,
better, right? They have smaller pools of entry, right? Because people don't want to do this stuff.
Yeah, and your odds go up. Your odds go up when you put in the effort. And a lot of people go, oh, I don't want to do that, or filming a video is too hard or whatever. Great.
Do it. Right.
Do it. The bigger the more, I say, the more hurdles there are to entry, the more barriers there are to entry, the better your odds of winning. So you're better off slicing off some of your hour and spending it on that one giveaway than just entering a lot of things because you're more likely to win that one.
Okay.
So there's lots of it's all nuanced, right? And then it's changing. When I started, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, right, which gone to X. There used to be tons of giveaways there. Now they've virtually disappeared. Pinterest used to have giveaways. Now they've virtually disappeared. There used to be mail-ins. Now there's no more mail-ins. It's like there's a whole...
They don't want 14,000 pieces of mail come to their company, right?
Yeah, I found an old videotape in my library. I have my library packed away. My office is small. I don't have shelves right now. And I had it digitized and I put it on my YouTube channel, and it's square, like it was for the television, so square. And it's like filmed in the 80s, so the clothes and the hair. And then they're showing how they used to sort the mail and how they used to pick for the draws and stuff. It's fascinating.
Comes from the post office with all the mail.
Now it's digitized. And they can easily, there's something even called a dedupe. They'll go through, and if you're cheating and not following the rules, they can just run an algorithm through the database and eliminate all the cheaters. It's like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get into some of the other stuff you're doing nowadays, because you got onto this publishing kind of.
So what happened was, in 2008, I met Helene Hadsell. She was famous for winning every contest prize she ever desired. And in the 70s, she wrote a book called The Name It and Claim It Game. And I went and met her. And she said, when I was visiting her, you need to teach this because no one else will. So I think she was near the end of her life. At that point, there was nobody in her family that was wanting to maintain her legacy. And I said, okay. And then I did nothing with it. My life just did like a little topsy-turvy. And finally, in 2019, I thought, her son Dyke, she had 2 children predeceased her, unfortunately. Her son Dyke, I thought he's going to be in his mid-70s. If I don't do something soon, I mean, we don't know how long we're given.
Right.
I better do something or I'm going to lose this chance. So I bought the rights of all of her work from him because I said, if you pass and I don't own it, that's a problem.
Right.
He said, you're right. Since then, I've republished all 4 of her books, and I've had 2 are now in Audible. I'm on the 3rd, and 2 have already been translated into Spanish, and I've got 3 more languages ordered. I'm so excited.
About sweepstakes and winning? No.
So, so here's what she did in the 70s.
Okay.
She worked with Jose Silva, who was famous for writing the book, The Silva Mind Control Method. It's now just the Silva Method.
Okay.
And it's all about how you use your mind to better your life. If you meet someone, they use the
Secret, that book.
Kind of The Secret. It's you're going to be better and better.
Right.
And there's lots of different meditation techniques. There's mind movies. There's the mental map. There's all different types of techniques to meditate. It's basically meditation based.
Okay.
And she worked with him. So when she wrote the book, she knew people people weren't as open to what we now call the woo-woo stuff. It's everywhere now.
Right.
But in those days, that was over 50 years ago.
Right.
So she wrapped every single one of those lessons in a sweepstakes story. And if you read it carefully, you see how many gems she had. And it's amazing because I edited the book, I don't know how many times before I printed it.
Okay.
When I read it aloud for Audible, some of the brilliant stuff she wrote really hit home. It was amazing. And one of the things that I find fascinating is they say you can speak your manifestations into existence. I read one story about a woman who wanted to go on a cruise but had no money, didn't enter contest. Helene's like, don't focus on that. Just focus on being on the cruise to the Bahamas. And she's like, okay. And a month later, she was on the cruise. So I read that story, and I'm also becoming a Silva instructor. So I went to do the 4-day seminar. I was assisting, like Helene assisted Jose. I'm assisting here. Okay. And on the Saturday, I got a text from a girlfriend. She said, do you want to go on a cruise? I said, I can't. Like, I'm spending money on getting Audible books produced. Right. And she goes, no, it's free. My boyfriend can't go. You just have to get yourself to Miami. It's like,
And you
what?
were just like, what? Yeah.
What?
So this woman,
And it was
what,
to the
Helene, right?
Bahamas.
Helene Haskell, that's her name.
Helene Hadsell, yeah.
She's like the L. Ron Hubbard of sweepstakes winning.
Yeah, and she wrote then when she was comfortable and felt the world could hear her story. She wrote books like In Contact with Other Realms about how she could see into the fourth dimension and how she was highly intuitive.
No?
Sorry?
It sounds like kooky stuff. She's like losing it a little bit. Like, look, L. Ron Hubbard was a really smart guy, right? If you read Dianetics, it is a hard book to write, but then he kind of fell off the whole, space and yeah. So is that what happened to Helene or no?
Some of the stuff she talks about is being proven by science now, and the same stuff that
like fourth dimension stuff?
Yeah, scientists are proving we live in a quantum universe now. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people.
Look, maybe Stan Lee was right. There's a metaverse or whatever, and there's all these multiple Earths and things like that. I don't know. Maybe there must be another entrepreneur podcast, The Accidental Entrepreneur on Earth 47, and we're having the same show. It's you and me, and we're talking, and we don't know that we exist.
Some people have that theory, but she didn't write about that. But she talked about she hung out with people like Norman Vincent Peale and Dr. Joseph Murphy, and she of course with Jose Silva and all kinds of interesting people that she was with.
Now available on Amazon because you're publishing them?
Yeah, that's the other thing. She did only her first 2 books were printed up and you could buy them. And her last 2 books, she just printed herself up at home. They didn't even have ISBN numbers. So if you sent her like $12 in the mail, she'd mail you a book. But otherwise, they'd never seen the light of day. So
literally self-publishing.
Literally self-publishing. And now what's nice about the modern technologies is that I've been able to make them available, first of all, globally, easily, and in paperback and ebook and every format.
You don't need a warehouse full of books. It's all on demand like stuff.
Now, I order a bunch myself just so that I have copies to give away. Hello, I am the contest queen. Right. And if I do
50 books, you don't have to have a warehouse of 100,000 books.
I only order marketing copies. And I learned, I'm going to have a tip for every self-published author out there. I was so excited. I was so excited having Helene's books that I ordered, I don't know what I was thinking, 100 of each off the first draft. And then I'd give them away and people were like, there's spelling mistakes in here. I go, I know. I figured that out after. I was so excited. I didn't even edit it. I was just like, oh, this is good.
Yeah. I did like 25 and then I bought another 25 of my book and I've given them away. I mean, that's what you use them for.
But do it after you've done the final edit, not after the first draft.
Yeah, no. So we have a publisher and he even my co-author, we edited it back and forth and then it went to him and then he read the final version. Then it came back. Then we double checked if he made the changes we told him. And then, before you now I'm going to the studio to do the Audible version.
It's great when you do. And you know what I'll say? You might even change it. Oh yeah, here's something interesting. I actually had to change some of her books because when you do the Audible, it sounds different. And I had to move some things around or switch chapters because when you read it, it was fine. But when you listened to it, it was weird.
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, no. That's why reading your book out loud makes a lot of sense, even when you're editing it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So I've actually, and then you have to say things like she's in one of her books, she says, "Dear readers, I have a challenge for you." And I had to change it to, "Dear listeners, I have a challenge for you." Like it's all these little interesting things that you find. But reading the book out loud was so powerful. I highly recommend it to anybody. Like if you have a book that you are engrossed with, not necessarily fiction, but a nonfiction and you want to learn something new, say it out loud. It's crazy how your brain takes it in differently.
Very powerful. Yeah, it's no
very
question
powerful.
about
it. So fun. So that's what I'm doing now. And this year, I'm challenging myself. So normally, I was publishing a book or two a year. Okay. Or sorry, a book every 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Last year, I challenged myself. I published 4
in 1 year.
Yes. So now I count editions as publishing. So I did 2 Audibles and 2 print
of the same book.
No, one was okay. So in Contact, the Name It and Claim It game, I did 1 Audible, 1 Spanish.
Okay.
And then I did A Man Called Friday, which was new, and then I did the Audible of In Contact with Other Realms. This
But
year,
those are clean books. You didn't write them.
right? But I still had to do all the editing. This year,
I'm not,
this
criticizing
year
it.
I am doing one of my own. I'm doing the new version of this. So my first one came out in 2008. You can't win if you don't enter. This came out in 2016. How to Win Cash Cards for Some More. So it's only appropriate that in 2024 I publish prizes everywhere. So that is going to be my third updated sweepstakes book.
Okay.
And it's so every 8 years there's going to be a new.
Yeah. So Carolyn, do you think more of yourself as like a publisher now and a writer, or you're in the business to help companies run sweepstakes?
I'm doing all of them at once. Like I'm a little bit of a crazy person right now because I think of myself more as a publisher and a writer.
Okay.
But I love teaching the sweepstakes, and I'm actually every month I have, because I probably couldn't take on more than one client at a time right now. Every month I'm helping a company run a giveaway.
Okay, but you only do one a month.
I've been doing one a month, but really when you're publishing 12 books and running giveaways.
I'm not suggesting there's this in a year, but look, people that have portfolio careers, I call them, have a lot of stuff going on, but you're very high energy, so it helps.
Thankfully it does help. And I'm going on a road trip. I'm very excited. There's a sweepstakes event in North Carolina. It's a bunch of sweepers. We all get together for the day. It's a banquet. We hang out and have fun. And then I'm going to go do some work with Helene's family and get some more books.
When you go down to North Carolina, do you tell them the truth that you're really not a sweeper because it's illegal in Canada and you're really a something or other?
I tell them the truth. First of all, I always say I'm going to visit friends.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. They are my friends. I tell you, they really are. Like I said, 10 years ago, when I had a downturn in my life and people were there, people that I just hardly knew. And they're just like, come on, open the door, take me out. Yeah. Real good people.
Well, you have an affinity because you have the same interests, and it's, it's not an industry of gamblers and people with like handguns. It's fun. It's entering sweepstakes.
Sweepers do like to gamble too. Like that's one of the reasons Vegas is a very popular location for the annual. Right. So the annual convention moves every year. So this year it's in last year it was in Phoenix. This year it's in Las Vegas. Next year it's going to be in Little Rock.
Oh, really?
Which is exciting. Well, because it's all volunteer run. So it's not like some.
But you still need a place that's big enough, right, to hold. How many people
it's usually in a hotel.
Right? Okay.
With a conference
room.
Go
to the sweepers contest.
Depends. I think this year there's 400 to 500.
Geez. You got to get more. I got more people at the Flat Earth convention than that.
Because it's all volunteer run. It's kind of run like a wedding, right? Like it's one sweepstakes club that hosts it. So even the volunteers that run it pay to attend because that way, if they win prizes, it's the same. It's like we're on an even playing field.
But aren't there sponsors for the event and stuff?
It's just sweepstakers.
They don't want to do that. Yeah.
I've tried to talk them into doing that, but they don't want to do that.
Just make it a better event, right? You have money, and then you can make it bigger, and people will come.
I don't know. I did a couple. It's very hard to get them. I tried to do one in Canada. It was very difficult. I had sponsors, but I still didn't break even. So I just said, okay, I'm not hosting another one.
Like having a convention for a large corporation, and you have all the list of the employees, and you say, hey, this is when it is. Let me know. And these are the people you're booking through. These people are all over the world, right? So to get them to go is hard. Especially if you're too busy entering contests.
But we're going to have the most Canadians ever at this convention. I think there's 10 of us going. So we're all going to sit at one table, red and white, and cheer. And it's so fun because there's basically a speaker on some topic. Like last year I spoke on TikTok. The year before it was Instagram.
Right.
And we have people telling different stories. So we have speakers, and then we give out prizes.
Nice. I mean,
And
what's
that's
better than
basically,
that?
and we eat and we hang out.
Yeah.
And that's what you do for
You,
like
you
4
always get
days.
good giveaways and good stuff. Now, how much does it cost? You have to pay to go, right? Because you got
Yeah,
to pay
I
for
think
the
the
event.
tickets stopped selling, I think mid-May, and I think right now because the price goes up. So I bought right at the last convention because it was $225. I think I paid.
Right.
I think it's up to $325 now because
Got
they
it.
want you to get the
Dynamic
tickets
pricing.
earlier, right?
Yeah. Right. Same
And
thing like airlines and stuff.
yeah, and then and also we're staying right at the. I find it's best to stay at the resort hotel because that way your room's right there, the convention's right there.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. It's gonna be.
Gonna have
It's in the
sweepstakes
Horseshoe.
in it, like for special people living and are in the hotel and you want to be there, you know.
No, you got to buy tickets in advance. You have to be registered. So if you're
I'll
not
let
registered by like May 15th, you're not going.
go.
That's it.
You don't have to be a sweeper. Like if somebody's just interested in sweepstakes,
Oh
they go
yeah,
buy
if you decided you and your wife are like, we got to check this out, and you buy tickets and you come, you're welcome, and
you
we'll
can go.
teach you, and you'll be addicted by the end of the weekend.
I think I'm addicted already. I was reading your book
It
and
is
I'm
fun.
like,
It is really fun,
check out.
and you start looking.
Yeah.
There's actually a scientific thing. There's a scientific book called The Luck Factor that was studying luck, and people that are positive and look for these things, they've actually turned something on in their brain called the reticular activator.
Yeah.
And it's just like if you want to buy a new car and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere.
Right.
I can spot the word win at 100 paces.
Oh,
So
I'm sure.
once you're tuned
It's
into it,
in your brain.
right, it's emblazed in my brain. So if I'm walking down the supermarket aisle, I'll spot that product or I'll hear it on the radio. Or something will be on TV. All of a sudden I'll say to George, shh, shh, I'm listening. How do I enter? What is the website? Where do I go?
You can pause the TV so you can look
Yeah,
at
now we can, but sometimes
young. No way.
yeah. And
What was the first thing as an adult, like not with your mom going to Barbados,
yeah,
when you literally claim it that you won?
it was movie tickets, believe it or not. Like when I started entering on a daily basis, it was movie passes. I remember winning movie passes and we were going. And then I call him my husband. X seems too so harsh. My husband.
Term.
I heard it from someone. I can't take credit for it, but it's a great term.
Yeah,
and he thought this was a silly hobby. Like it's what are you wasting your time for?
You don't need that negative energy in your life. Get rid of him.
And he came around.
Okay.
Then we started winning, and we won a big prize pack with a snowboard, a scooter, and a bike.
Nice.
He was like, "Oh!" And then he started saying, "Hey, are we entering this one? I saw this one today." Like he would start doing that. And George, I'm with George. He's still so funny. We've got the roll up the rim and roll up to win with Tim Hortons right now. They went app-based after the pandemic because no one wanted to roll the cups and touch anything anymore. Like everyone's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Even McDonald's did that. You take the little things off, but now you enter them online. And if you get a freebie, you get the code right on your app. Like nobody touches anything anymore. Like nobody wants that. So he's been rolling and he hasn't been winning anything. And he said, this is a scam. And I just laughed because I'm like, you have been on free trips with me. We go grocery shopping, with gift cards for free, or we've gone to shows and concerts and sporting events all for free because I win. And you think this is a scam?
Right. That was enough.
It's not a scam. You're just not doing it right. Like I get up in the minute. This is my brain. He'll get a coffee first thing in the morning and he'll roll and he won't win. And I go, yeah, because you're rolling when everybody's rolling.
When you say roll, what does roll mean?
Because the app, you have to here, I'll do a thing right now. So I have the app.
Say.
Okay, so there's a hang on.
So
the
Tim
app
Hortons,
is slow.
we don't really have Tim Hortons in the United States, so it's very big.
You do. It's in the northeast. Okay, so there I have a roll. We'll actually do it now. I might not win anything.
You do it once a day?
So I roll. Okay, so I didn't win this time, but I'm entering in the middle of the day. Last night I got up to go to the washroom and I take my phone with me and I roll at like 4:00 in the morning and I want a coffee.
How often can you do that? Once a day?
This one is you get rolls every time you buy certain products. So if we get a coffee in the morning or a hot cup of tea,
right,
you get a roll. So I'll go later and buy a cup of tea.
If I go roll down, if I loaded the Tim Horton app, right, And I did it. There's no Tim Hortons near me, so that wouldn't work. Yeah,
no, so but see, 4:39 a.m. I want a coffee because I enter at like 4:12 p.m. Nothing, because it's to me this is still technically the end of lunch, like because you're competing against people in the West Coast. So 4 o'clock is 1 o'clock, so they're eating lunch.
So when you say competing, when you roll, they like give it away to somebody who's entering.
It's all timed. Now these companies, I can't even fathom the budget on this giveaway because they're giving away they give away 10 cars. Like it's a huge sweepstakes. Yeah. And so there's literally a prizes or an opportunity every second, right? So there's something and so what they do is they take the prizes in the computer and they go, okay, we have to have 10 cars, like 20 million free coffees, like whatever the things are. Right. And they load it into the computer and the computer randomizes it. So technically you could win at any time. You just have to be the one that's lucky enough to roll it at the second that the computer's been programmed. That's why it's easier to win in the middle of the night, because less people will be rolling at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right at that moment, right?
But at lunch, think about it. When are people getting coffee? 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. There's more people rolling in the middle of the morning. So you can win. Because one year there was an article in the paper, the guy won at 6:15. He's in the drive-through. And he had a roll from the day before and he was waiting for his coffee. So he rolled, he won the car.
Won the car?
At 6, I think it was last year or the year before, 6:15 in the morning.
You're kidding.
Right when a lot of people are entering, but he was just hit the time. And he went into the store after. He's like, did I really win the car? And they're like freaking out in the store. The manager comes out. Yeah, they're like, oh my God, you won. And the manager was so happy. And
in Canada, he didn't have to pay tax on it.
No, he didn't have to pay tax. But yeah, so it's but again, harder to win up here. So I would happily give Uncle Sam my cut if I could win more like my friends in the States.
But if it's stuff, you got to come up with the cash. That's one of the problems.
Well, one of the strategies is some people save for it. Some people will keep the big stuff and sell some of the small stuff. Some people keep the cash from the giveaways. Sometimes they always just ask for the cash alternative. Like, for example,
cars here, like you win a car and they'll give you a cash alternative and pay the tax and take the money. What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah. It depends, right? Like most people figure it out.
Yeah. Some of the golf tournaments you have, where you get a hole in one and you win the car, they're like a lease, like a 2-year lease. So you're paying tax on the whole thing.
Yeah, that depends. You have to. That's why it's read the rules. So Tim Hortons, interestingly enough, would give away cars. Then 1 year they switched to a lease. Oh, the backlash! They had to go back to giving away the whole car.
Right, because they're basically renting the opportunity to use the car for 2 years or 3 years or whatever.
Right. So the backlash, they stopped that.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny if you're not careful with these things, right?
Right. That's why I think it's a great tool, especially for small businesses, if you target it right, to do giveaways, because you will get a lot of sweepers entering. If you say your business just decides to give away an Amazon gift card on your Instagram, well, everybody and their brother is going to enter, and it's not going to be your clientele or focus.
Right.
But
come to your store or whatever, right?
Right. But if you say gave away a lunch with you for 1 hour to hang out and ask questions, well, that would be kind of fun and cool. But then now you're narrowing the pool. Who wants to hang out with you? Who's in the area? Who's going to need? So now you're going to get the people that are targeted to you, for example.
Right. And I see giveaways all the time, and they have like a fishbowl in the place, and then they don't do anything with the business cards. Like they have all these people.
As a marketer, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Okay, like as a marketer,
I entered, and then you're like raising your hand, and then nobody contacts you afterward and says, "Hey, we saw that you won. We're so sorry that you didn't win, but we'd love to offer you a free coffee, on a Tuesday morning if you come by one time." I mean,
that is okay. That's called back-end marketing. Back-end marketing is the least thing companies do. They don't put those things into a database and add them to the newsletter. They don't contact. Well, it is stupid. They don't The other thing too is so many people, the reason they think sweepstakes are scams is they go, who won? We don't know who won. And companies are breaking their heads trying to figure out, what do we share on social media?
Some people win. They don't want people to know, sometimes they don't want people to know.
But what if I just put up a post that was, say, green with some fireworks that says, congratulations to Susan B, who won our book in last month's, last week's Freebie Friday giveaway. Make sure you enter this Friday.
Right.
Right, you don't have to show a face. You can just use it as a promo. Just to
the lottery, right? If you win $600 million of the Powerball, you don't want anybody to know.
No, that's
They're
different.
Kidnap your kids and take your dog away from you and
you know what's funny? Most people, the number one question I get from, actually Helene had it too. How do I win the lottery? Yeah. And 73% of winners lose all their money in 5 years. And I say to people, one question I want you to ask is, why do you want the money? Well, they think it's going to solve all their problems. No, it's not. You're just going to get a new set of problems. Life is challenges.
Right.
And then the other thing they think is that life's going to be rosier. Not necessarily.
Usually
think of money as energy, like it's called currency. Think of it as a current. You are hit with a lightning bolt. Can your system handle it?
Most people can't.
Right. Most people can't. That's why 73% lose their money. Or I always like to ask them, who is asking? Right. And I say that in a way is like, what part of your internal wounded, or abandoned or, child is asking? Do you want to win the money because then you feel seen? Well, work on just feeling seen and see what amazing things show up in your life.
Definitely. Look, a lot of people that lose money, it's not just that they make bad investments or they do throw a lot of money away, but also everyone and their grandmother asks them for money. So they end up doing things and causing a big life.
Sometimes you make bad business decisions. I've done it. I've invested with companies and, I've lost money too. But
it happens.
Sometimes it just doesn't work out, but that's how you learn. Helene actually has it in her books. She has the points to ponder, which are her interpretation of the rules to being human, which were found in Sanskrit. And one of them is, you're here to learn. It's a school. Like once you finish one lesson, you get to learn another lesson. You get to have another adventure. You get to have another experience.
You win something like that.
That's
you got
this
a big
trip.
Coming. Right. Yeah.
That's this trip, the whole trip. And you're going to learn till the day you die. That's it. There's no getting out of it.
Yeah. Maybe you pass it on to someone else. Well, Carolyn, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me. People should go out, get the book, How to Win Cash, Cards, Trips, and More. Plus, what's the other ones coming out? Called
Prizes Everywhere, coming out in 2024.
All your other books and Helene's books, and learn from you. And if they just take a little time and enter every day, you'll start winning stuff. And
you will.
Very good marketing discussion for small business owners, because it's a real opportunity to find people that will be your, champions for your cause, people that are following your thing,
right.
People that are some stuff fun. Now they have an affinity towards your business because it was fun and they feel good every time they walk by your store. They're like, oh, I won that. Like when I was young, I was going to tell you, and then told you
I got to hear this quick.
25 minutes over. I got a call from the local ShopRite, and the guy's like, hey, this is Jim from ShopRite. Is Mitch Beinhacker there? I'm like, I was like 14 or so, 16. I was like, yeah. I was thinking, what in the world did I do that I'm going to get in trouble for? And they're like, oh, you won the 10-speed bike. I'm like, I didn't even enter for a 10-speed bike. What? Turned out my mom was in the supermarket and filled out the things for me and my sister. And I won the 10-speed bike. Nobody was home. I go over there completely alone with a buddy of mine. It was up on the shelf. You know the way they used to put the prize? Yeah.
I wish they still did that.
I know. They took the thing down. It was this like metallic blue bike. I'll never forget. And I won this thing. And I remember every time, even to this day, because the ShopRite's still there.
Oh,
I have a good feeling I don't want to pass the ShopRite. I remember, that I won the bike at the ShopRite,
And they, what amazing, the bike, they didn't even pay for it. It either came from head office or what the sponsor was like Coca-Cola, and they sent all the stores the bikes. And that is.
And they took my picture for the newspaper. They probably mentioned who had donated.
Oh my God, that's so cool. You know what? You start asking people if they've ever won something, Everybody has
They
a winning
light up.
story.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I can't believe the number of people that go, I don't enter sweepstakes, but one time I was
One
at
time,
this Christmas party and I won the
Yeah.
grand prize, or my mom
Yeah.
put my name in and I won a bike, or there's always a winning story. It's so cool.
It's so fun. We used to have this thing for the preschool that my kids went to, the little private school. So they would have a night, like you said, to raise money. People would donate baskets or whatever.
Yeah.
So we brought a friend with that who was like, her husband's out of town. So friend and my wife said, why don't you come with us? So she comes with us. Literally, she bought like 5 or 6 tickets, right? And everyone else buys books of tickets because it's your kid. So you're supporting the school, right, to do this thing. It was so embarrassing, Carolyn. I think our friend who put 6 tickets in thing won like 5 items.
Now, you know why I'm going to tell you she won?
Yeah.
Because she had 0 attachment.
Right. She was just so comfortable, happy, just la, 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 la. And they're like, they're like,
right. That's what happens.
And I look at her, you won again?
When you have 0 attachment, we'll end on this.
Yeah.
That's what happens in your life. You're trying for something, right. Whether it's business or personal. And the minute you go, oh, I give up, it happens because you've completely detached yourself.
Of positive energy and attraction. There's no question about it.
Yeah, when you just let the universe.
Who was the guy? Henry, what was his name? Silverman?
No, Richard Wiseman. Dr. Richard Wiseman.
You said Helene had originally studied.
She was with, she studied Norman Vincent Peale.
Okay.
Did the power of positive thinking.
Henry Silverman or something.
No, Jose Silva.
Jose Silverman. Yeah, there you go.
He did the Silva method, which is fascinating. I'm actually, like I said, I'm learning to become an instructor because then I bought the rights to tag Powell's books, and he was a Silva instructor, which is now why, like, it's all swirling around the Silva method, like Helene and him.
Question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to, like, follow you, connect with you, see the books that you're bringing out next, and
for books, it's Words for Winning, and if you want to learn to win sweepstakes, it's Contest Queen. And if you want to win a giveaway, it's Idea Majesty, just because I'm not busy enough.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, send me all those links. I put them in the show notes when we're done with the show.
Send you all the links. But
I don't know.
It's such a fun hobby.
It's 4:30 here. I don't know what time it is.
Oh my God, I'm in the same time zone. I'm in
okay,
Toronto.
good. Right. Toronto. Okay, so Carolyn, I can't thank you again and enough. And let's stay in touch. I want to hear if you win like a really big prize, like a trip. Just send me a text. I won today.
From your lips to God's ears. I want number 25 this year.
Yeah, you got to get. Well, when you hit 25, you got to let me know, and I can announce it on the podcast. All right. Thanks so much, Carolyn.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur. Opening and closing music written and performed by Howie Moskovich and made to order music. For information about Howie and his music services, please follow the link in our show notes. If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and most of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@beinackerlaw.com.
The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted by Mitch Beinacker and produced by Beinacker Law. If you'd like to learn more about our business and legal services, you can find us on social media or visit our website at beinackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.